Okay, and we are live on Facebook and should be, there we go. We're live on Instagram. Yay! All right, we're live everywhere. For real this time. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for Antigravity Wellness podcast. I am Dr. Nicole Smith, founder of Antigravity Wellness and of this podcast. And today I am bringing back for another round that you guys didn't see the first round was Libby Supan. She is a licensed marriage and family therapist, certified intuitive eating counselor, and someone who brings deep personal insight to her work after recovering from a 20-year battle with an eating disorder. Her lived experience is the foundation of her passionate commitment to helping others heal. Libby runs a therapy and coaching practice that supports individuals who feel overwhelmed by constant thoughts about food and body image. She specializes in guiding those stuck in the binge restrict cycle towards intuitive eating and lasting food freedom. Our last conversation was amazing. This one's going to be even better. So I'm super excited. So thank you, Libby, so much for joining me again and giving me a second chance to figure out my tech.
Well, thank you so much for having me for a second time. I'm glad to be here.
Yay. So go ahead and tell us about you. What inspired you to get into this field? What you were doing before, that aha moment that you had, and what really like keeps you getting up in the morning and continuing to do this work for the past 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. I had an eating disorder for about 20 years. And during that time, most of it was spent searching, seeking, like just desperate for any kind of help, trying to find the right help, any help. So I really didn't know if I was ever going to get better. And I just kept telling myself, like, if I can get better, if someone like me can actually get better and figure this thing out, like, I'm going to have to then do this work and help other people recover from it. So that's where that came from. It's one of those things, like, I don't know what else I would do. Um, so I feel very fortunate in that way, because before that, um, living in the eating disorder, I was very lost in most every area of my life, including my work and career. And I'm not joking when I say this, but I did have 65 jobs before being a therapist. Um, and they were all sorts of fun jobs, and they weren't really fun. But yeah, I had so many different jobs. I was so confused. And yes, here I am today, and I absolutely love what I do. I feel very grateful and fortunate that people instill their trust in me and share their deepest and darkest secrets. And I get to be the person to like walk alongside and just guide them in this, I hate the word journey, but journey to experience like real food freedom and to live a very different life. So,
Amazing. Why do you hate the word journey?
oh, there's a lot of words like triggered, journey. There's so many other ones. I just feel like they're overused. Like, I
I
think
got
because of social media,
yeah.
narcissist,
Oh, yep, yep.
toxic. I say them too. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, and I always say the word journey as well. I'm hearing myself say it a lot. So I wish there was a
Yeah.
different word. Path, maybe path.
Oh, path is good. Yeah, I guess journey makes it sound like there's an end destination, and honestly, there never
Right.
really is with
There
this.
isn't. There
Yeah,
isn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So you have your food freedom breakthrough course, which is amazing. We were talking about it last time, but I'd love to, have that conversation again because it's a group program, which I think is brilliant with an aspect of one-on-one. So tell us more about that because this, a lot of our people here. I practice in Washington, Oregon State. You're located in California. So there's some licensing things that we have to be careful about. But
Yeah.
with coaching, we can cross borders. So,
Yeah.
so tell us more about that coaching program and how you help people.
Okay. Awesome. Yes. Food freedom breakthrough is the like kind of the biggest thing I work on, and I've been working on for a few years. It's the place where I feel the most excited within all that I get to do in my career. So it is a group coaching program, and it's all virtual. I have a lovely person in there from Italy. She lives in Italy. So yeah, coaching is different than therapy. Um, so I can work with anyone located anywhere in the world, where therapy, you have to live in California because that's where I'm licensed. Um, But yeah, so basically it's for the person that, wakes up and is like, I'm just so sick of doing this. I have a stomach ache this morning, or what am I going to eat for breakfast? Oh, shoot, I shouldn't eat that. Oh, man, I have to go to the gym for how much longer today because of what I ate yesterday. Oh, I'm going to that party tonight. How am I going to fit in exercise? Wait, what am I going to eat? What shouldn't I eat before then? I'm so sick of this dieting. Like, I don't want to do this for one more day. So that would be the type of client I work with. And I work with people who have all sorts of food type of issues, not just binge restrict. Um, so yeah, just like emotional eating, overeating, binge eating, restricting. Most all eating issues stem from restriction. So restriction's always most likely 99% of the time going to be there. And yeah, so
Mhm.
in my program, it's a 4-month program, and there's an entire course online with videos, handouts, workbooks. Um, and you get to do it within your own time. You can do it in any order. I always will encourage you to start from the beginning. And there are definitely things you need to do in the beginning first before you move on. But you can kind of move throughout the different principles in intuitive eating. And we meet 5 times a week in our groups. In one of the groups, we actually go over the coursework together because let's be real, like who wants to do coursework on their own? No one. So I'll like share my screen and we'll go over whatever it is that they're working on. That's one day a week. And then another group a week is intuitive eating. So like I have that group today. So we all show up with food and I walk you through how to actually eat intuitively. And then the other groups are what I call process group and just kind of like Q&A information. I always come with something to kind of coach or teach, if you will. And then we just answer questions about whatever anyone is struggling with. And yeah, we're like constantly kind of in communication and contact, engaging. We have, I use the platform School. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
Yeah,
I
that's great.
post questions every day and we're just kind of always in communication and it's a really wonderful group and I love it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us like one of your favorite clients from that program and how they had a transformation.
Yeah. Well, they're all my favorites.
Oh, sorry, right. Of course they are.
We don't
But
have
like your star
favorites.
people.
Well, yeah, I mean, one person I'm thinking of who's made a really big change and impact in her life. She had like, I mean, full blown anorexia for 30 years. And there's all kinds of like stereotypical personality types attached to certain eating disorders. So she really like was the stereotype of like the personality type that has anorexia. So like kind of a shell of a person, kind of like the way she had described it was like just kind of walking through the world with like a gray cloud. Nothing was ever fun, exciting, never really living, just like kind of surviving, always just kind of maybe a little irritable. Not very many relationships at all. Relationships with like family members, but not very good relationships. Um, she didn't have really a relationship with her sister for many, many years. So at this point, she is like, I don't know if she would use this term, and people have uh, different things to say about the word recovery or recovered, but she is recovered. And she is just doing so awesome. So things that are different for her. So she's totally living her life. She has a completely different relationship with her spouse. And it's almost this idea of like her spouse is meeting somebody new. He
Mhm.
never knew the real her. And she didn't really either because she started her eating disorder when she was in adolescence. Um, so she has a brand new relationship with her spouse, totally different relationship with mom and dad, very boundaried in a very good way. And she has a relationship with her sister again.
Mhm.
She also, the most coolest thing about what she's doing is she is on her journey slash path in becoming a eating disorder recovery coach, and she's not there yet, but she's like, kind of slowly working towards it. And she's also, I don't know, she's really good at like kind of putting groups of people together. So she's found different people in Italy to kind of collaborate, like professionals to collaborate with. I don't know, she has kind of ideas for what she's going to do as far as helping people. And I just seeing her like smile every day and just have such light in her face and excitement, and she doesn't talk about food anymore. She doesn't question food anymore. It's like that we don't even, it's very rare that we talk about food. She seriously just talks about life and like her golf tournaments and all the fun, exciting things that are happening. So that's, yeah, that's one person's story that I work with. And I could tell you so many more similar to that. But the biggest thing really, it's like, yes, the ideal goal is to have true food freedom and like just truly eat intuitively and not worry about food anymore. Like you're not obsessed with it. But the other part that is so incredible is it's like once you can trust yourself to feed yourself and eat again, like certain other things in your life start to shift and change for the better. You start to just see things differently. So, like, you might start seeing how people talk to you differently, or sorry, they're talking to you the same way, but you're seeing it differently. And you
Mm,
kind of wonder, have they always treated me like that? Am I
mm,
just seeing this right now? Because
mm,
when you don't trust yourself, when you're
mm,
talking crap to yourself all day long with these, like, chatter, inner critic kind of thoughts, you don't really hear how other people talk to you either. So it's like
mm.
just everything kind of opens up. You can trust yourself in other things like better relationships, career stuff, financial stuff. It just kind of opens up a whole world of just continuously like getting better and better as your life continues. I
Amazing.
just said a lot of words.
No, that was so good because it's revealing that it's a symptom. And that's the thing. Like we
Yeah,
think that the food is the problem. My weight is the
yeah,
problem. It's not. Like there's something underlying this. And
yeah,
from my perspective, we go after the hormones and make sure those are balanced. But then we also absolutely have our therapists and healthcare providers who address the mental aspect of it because it's
yeah.
usually both. There's
Hmm.
usually a complexity there that we have to deal with. And especially as women and aging women who
Yeah,
are going through not only transition in our hormones, but we have a lot of life stress. And then if we compound that with any type of past history of dieting, which most of us have, then that can get really complicated. And those things that we thought we had a control over, we no longer have control over. And that can feel very scary and can lead to those patterns reemerging. Like I had this under control, and now all of a sudden I don't have this under control.
yeah,
So we had talked about this last time, but I would love to bring it back up again because I think it's a really good example of a woman who is like in late 30s, early 40s. And it was during COVID. Well, just after when we were able to see each other because I saw her in
hmm,
person. We had this conversation where she's got kids at home. She's working full time and she's doing it remote and she's homeschooling and she's just never seen her gain weight like this before. She'd always been
yeah,
very lean and very athletic, and she looked kind of sick. Like she was
yeah.
just and haggard and like not
Yeah, like
her,
spent.
not her at all. Like she's normally like a very vibrant woman, and and she actually asked me about you know the intuitive eating part. She's
Yeah,
like, I don't know how to stop myself. I go into the pantry at night after the kids are down and my husband's watching TV and just start eating
yeah,
and just eat everything. She never had that problem before.
yeah.
But then there's other people like we have that pattern we can fall back into it. So how do you start to unravel that for someone to help
Yeah,
them to kind of see where the root is and how they can start to work on that so they can stop that pattern?
absolutely. Yes, kind of like the night eating pattern,
Mhm.
which I did for so long.
Mhm.
So I first would let her know that it's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. This is happening for a reason. So, like, let's kind of pull the curtain back and backtrack. So I'd really want to get an idea of like, what does your day look like? It sounds like kind of a little chaotic, right? Like she doesn't, it sounds like she probably doesn't have a minute. I visualize exactly who she is and what her day looks like. And it sounds really kind of awful and stressful. And she's probably just trying to like keep it all together and like No one else is going to do it, you know, she has to do it. So there's a couple things. Like, one, I think the biggest factor in this is restriction, whether we're talking food restriction or like life restriction slash
Mm,
fun restriction. So if you are restricting food, what happens is, you know, maybe you're good all day, or maybe you're not even trying to be. Maybe you're just so in your workflow, or you're just distracted that maybe you forget to eat, but your body is not getting the nutrients. Maybe you don't have hunger signals, but that doesn't necessarily matter. Your body knows.
mhm,
So let's just say it's the food restriction and it kind of like happens throughout the day. And then also all day long, it's kind of like it's go, 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 go. I have every hour, every minute is accounted for. And so it's just this like headspace that you're into. It's like very perfectionistic. And also like it's maybe not just work, it's the kids, it's the husband, the meal, the whatever it is, running errands. So there's just a lot going on, no space for anything else. So let's again say that in that scenario, the food is being restricted throughout the day. Okay. So then it's like it's the end of the day. Let's just say like kids are put down, husband's asleep, maybe we've all eaten dinner. And it's like this is it. This is my time before it starts all over again. And I'm
mhm,
probably not conscious of this.
mhm,
It's just this thing that happens and like my body needs a break and it needs like reprieve. And so the thing that's really easy and very cheap is to sit oftentimes staring, sorry if you hear that, like staring at like Netflix or, you know, scrolling on your phone while just kind of eating. Yeah, standing up in the pantry,
mhm,
continuously opening the freezer, you know, scoops of ice cream or whatever it is. Um, and and it can feel like you're insane because it's like you
mhm,
can be doing it and know like I am not hungry. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like I actually feel sick. I'm going to be so regretful in the morning, but you just can't stop.
mhm,
So that's how it can look with like restricting food in the daytime. So if that was the case, I would say, okay, like let's make it a priority to eat more food. Let's set timers or alarms on your phone to make sure you're eating at least like 3 food groups in all your meals and snacks. And there's nothing perfect about what I do. So nothing is like 100%. So when I say in all your meals and snacks, I don't actually mean that. Just as much as you can, try to have like a balanced diet. Let yourself have the cookie when you want the cookie. Um, so yeah, I would just make sure I'd want to get like a 24-hour food recall and find out like what does it actually look like? Where can we add more? So that
mhm,
would be that scenario. And then another scenario could be like in addition to the food restriction or just on itself, it's the idea of like I'm restricting myself from life, from fun, from social, from relaxation, from like anything that's me or for me because I'm just on. And I imagine maybe for her, it was a little bit of both of those things because they oftentimes fall hand in hand.
mhm,
Most of these people that do this are women. Women are targeted for diet, like in the diet culture, fat phobia world. You know, we have so much pressure on us to look a certain way, to eat a certain way. And so we fall into this perfectionistic trap to where it's like, you maybe you do want the cookie in the afternoon, you eat it, and you're like, oh my, I can't believe you ate the cookie. You are so disgusting. F it, I'm going to eat the rest of the cookies. And then you eat the
mhm,
rest of the cookies. So, like, that kind of pattern can, like, take you into that nighttime routine. Um, because, again, it's like kind of the same mindset. It's like, okay, like, this is the only time I have before I have to do it all over again. And, like, this
mhm,
is the only time I have to, like, truly check out and be mindless. And the only thing I know to do is, like, literally just grab this food right here. It's really easy.
mhm,
But so much of this is just not conscious.
mhm. Yeah.
So that's kind of, I guess, how I would look at that.
So it's kind of like taking that moment and going, okay, what am I actually feeling right now?
Yeah.
And taking stock of that, which can be really hard. A lot of people don't want to feel their feelings because it feels
No,
hard
I
to even
know.
acknowledge that. Because then what
I
do you do
know.
with that? Like, and a lot of people try and numb out, like, you know, the wine at night to even
Yeah.
be able to fall asleep. Women already have issues with insomnia going through their 40s anyhow from hormonal changes. So it makes it
Yeah.
even worse. Like, how do we turn that off and
Right.
make the brain stop, you know? So what's like one thing? There's never one thing.
I know. I
But
know.
do
I
you
wish there was 10 things
I
to
know.
say.
Do you have like a technique or something that you do with people? And I'm kind of leading towards I love your TikTok that you do at night. So let's just go there.
Oh, the nighttime thing. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, the nighttime eating TikTok thing that you do live. So tell us about that and what it says on the screen, because I think that's really impactful. That can make people just like take a breath.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know verbatim, and it's going to take me too long to turn on the other phone to like look at the post or whatever. But basically, yeah. So I try to do a live every night. Some nights I forget, but I'll do a live every night on TikTok, and it's just like a still screen, and it says night eating, and then it says, first of all, it's okay. Like there's no judgment. You also are not alone, and try this. Pause. Like close your eyes, take 3 breaths. Ask yourself, am I physically hungry? If yes, great. Is this going to taste good? Yes, great. Is this going to serve my body? Yes, great. Now, if the answers are no, it's okay. Am I physically hungry? No. Okay, what do you actually need? If you know you're not physically hungry, where else can you get your need met? Because food is never going to fulfill that. It's
Mm,
also still okay to eat when you're not physically hungry. And when you go into it with
mm,
that conscious level of thinking, by kind of having that conversation with yourself, the outcome is usually always different. There's usually, like, if there's any guilt at all, it's much less because you
mm,
acknowledge that, yeah, I'm not physically hungry, but this donut is worth it right now to me. So I'm going to eat it. And that's okay. Whereas if
mhm,
I don't check in with it, I'm like, oh my God, I did it again. I did it again. I wasn't even hungry. And now I feel
mm.
bad about it. So I'm going to eat 5 more. And that's like how those cycles can start. And I didn't even answer your question because your question was, what does it say on the screen? So I think what it says on the screen is pause, take 3 breaths, ask yourself, are you physically hungry? Will this taste good? Will this serve my body?
Mhm.
I think that's what it says on the screen. So it's just like very simple. The idea is really just get in the moment, get present, be your own observer, and everything is neutral. Like no judgment. Nothing's good, nothing's bad. It just is.
Mhm. And we just need to do this once and it'll work, right?
I mean, you're basically cured. So even if you're listening to this right now, you're going to wake up tomorrow, you're cured.
Yeah, right.
I wish. I
I know.
so wish.
Yeah,
Oh, I know.
yeah. So tell us more about that. Like, what does that look like? Because I think a lot of people will try these techniques, and if it doesn't work or they don't know the expectations, like how long is this going to take?
Yeah.
Am I,
Yeah.
like, and that's that whole journey thing. So let's talk about
Yeah.
that. Like, what is
Okay.
the expectation? Like, how long does it take before you start to kind of get a handle on things and it starts to become a routine and a habit? So what? Because that's really what this is. It's a habit, it's a routine, and it's easy when we're
Yeah.
tired to fall back into our routine. So how do we create a new routine? How long does that take?
Yeah. Okay. So I wish I had the answer. There is no answer as far as how long it takes. It's seriously up to every single person as an individual. Everyone is so different. You come from a different background. You come from different levels of disordered eating or an eating disorder. Like someone might have a lot more disordered thoughts in eating than someone else.
Mm,
There's some people that literally go all in because they're just like, I'm not going to do this for one more day. I'm all in. Most people
mm,
don't do that. If you do, it's going to be faster. Um,
mm,
but here's the thing that like is really important with this work. Most people that come into it, like my clients, they're so used to being in rooms, if you will, or programs, if you will, that are 1 through 10. And then it's
mm,
like if this is happening, you're doing it wrong. And it's usually very black and white, and you're told what to do. And it's at 10 o'clock I do this, at 12 o'clock I do this. I'm doing these 5 questions tonight, and then I show up tomorrow and I do this. And it's not like that. So
mm,
so I'm going to kind of trickle in like the group coaching program aspect to it too. So
mhm,
the group program, what I do is the newest like kind of piece to the way I work with clients. So I do individual, groups, couples, and then my group coaching program. So by far, the clients in my group coaching program have gotten and are getting better quicker than any other of my clients individually, my eating disorder group, or if I'm working with family. And that's because of exactly kind of your question. It's the way it works is slow. So think of it like this. It's like it took you this long to get here, like however long that was, 20 years, 30
Mhm.
years, 10 years, I don't know. And it happened slow and over time because messages have you've been inundated with messages, not knowing it, like diet culture, fat phobia, social media, constantly looking at like a thin image of a thin woman, right? So your
Mhm.
brain thinks that's what it needs to be because that's what your brain is used to.
Yeah.
So it's the idea of like, well, okay, so in eating disorder treatment, substance use disorder treatment, oftentimes the client leaves the home and physically goes to a treatment center. And oftentimes you have to get out of your current environment to get better. So I
Mhm.
think of it kind of like that. Like, okay, I think of it like we are this group, this is our safe group. We can talk about anything here. And what I also want you to do is kind of like clean up your social media accounts. Stop following and listening to anything that's going to be harmful to your brain.
Mhm.
Because this is an unlearning, relearning process. It's a brain rewiring and it's repetitive and it's day and it's every day and it's every moment. And it's, being reminded of the words you choose. So rather than saying, I'm eating clean today, it's, I'm just eating today. Because clean is a
Mhm.
very judgmental word, right?
Mhm.
And I'll give you an example. So, and most people don't know that they're using that kind of language because they're just so conditioned to using it. I certainly didn't know I was doing it for so long, but this is an example of how it can kind of look. So one day in group, one client was saying, "Oh my gosh, I was so good today. I drove by the fast food and I ended up making something at home." And I said, "That's great, but I just want to remind you, we're not trying to avoid fast food. Like that's not the point, The point is what's intuitive." And then the next client said, "Oh man, well now I feel like a loser because I did eat fast food yesterday."
Mhm.
And which goes to show you exactly why we don't like have that kind of mindset, mind frame when it comes to food. There is no good or bad because there isn't necessarily anything wrong or bad with eating fast food. It's like what's underneath that? What's the
Mhm.
intentions? What's your motivators? Is it intuitive or is it like a self sabotage thing?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what your question was. So it just takes what it takes, but the more you're immersed in like the environment, which again is why my group coaching program is so different than all the other things that I do with clients. We're immersed together. We're
Mhm.
kind of this, I think of it as kind of this like, I don't know, clan, like a tribe, if you will.
Oh.
Um, yeah,
Well, I think that's really key. When I started changing the way I was eating in order to lose the weight that had been coming on, that was definitely something that needed to happen was I needed to change my environment. I needed to
yeah,
change my mindset and like everything changes about you when you change the way you eat. It's kind
yeah.
of remarkable. So anyone who's ever gone through that journey, but like that's a four-letter
I'll
word.
say it all day long.
That's so funny. Uh, but anyone who has done that has lost especially a significant amount of weight, you are a completely different person. Like you have a completely different way of looking at the world, of talking to yourself, of behaving, of interacting, and even sometimes the people you associate with just become completely
Yeah.
different because they have different priorities than the priorities that you had before. So I think that's really important to make note of that it's not easy, and there's definitely kind of a lonely period almost in there when you're trying to change a way of living that you had before and having different way of living that's more in alignment with taking care of this vessel that you have. You only get the one.
Yeah.
And so how are we going to take care of it? And I love that you talk about like in that holistic way, because we can make the argument that physiologically, fast food is bad for the body because it's full of chemical additives and salt and things that are not good for you, right? Um, but at the same time, we've kind of talked on that before. One meal isn't going to make or break you.
No, one day isn't either.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So having those allowances and living your life to a certain extent is also very important, and that's what's sustainable.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we're on that roller coaster again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I think so a lot of times people will like they are confused by kind of what I do. So they think I'm going to judge what they eat or give them a meal plan. No, first of all, I'm not a dietitian, but I kind of talk about it as like I'm the how. Like I help you how to eat and like how to look at it. So I'm thinking of like the fast food piece. So yeah, I
Mm,
think we all know that like highly processed foods, fast food generally speaking, isn't considered healthy for us, right?
yeah.
But what's unhealthier is eating it in a way where you think it's the most unhealthy thing. Because
Mm,
if you think it's so unhealthy and it is unhealthy, it's actually creating more energy that is truly making it less healthy in your body. So if I can look at it and it's like, yeah, sure, it's not the healthiest thing for me, but this is what I'm eating right now and I'm really excited about it or whatever, it's
mhm.
okay. You know,
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. And then you forget about it and you move on. And then you
yeah,
eat your next meal at home and it's whatever it is.
yeah, yeah. So that's really connecting the mind and the body together and the chemical releases that we can make just by
Yeah.
thinking about a thing, and we can make it, like you said, we can make it worse, and that and getting down that spiral path. So I think that's a really important aspect that a lot of people don't think about or even realize that they're doing. So I'm kind of pulling from my experience with this question
Yeah.
because I had to, well, maybe I didn't have to. If I had you, maybe I didn't have to do this then, but um, in order to stop the pattern of eating that was causing my health to go downhill
Yeah.
and gaining the weight and like blood pressure starting to rise and not being happy with myself, not having energy, all the things. In order to stop eating in that way, though, I was eating a lot of cheap food. I was poor
Hmm.
in my 20s and
Yeah.
eating fast food, and that and it was a calorie density problem too, because
Hmm.
a lot of fast foods are very calorie dense and I wasn't exercising enough to account for that. um, so I did in my mind start to demonize those foods in order for me to stop eating them, which maybe was a tactic to work for a while. But then, like you said, when you start to, well, later in life, it's not like you're never going to eat fast food again. It's probably going to happen. You're going to be
Right. You're a
traveling. Things
human. Like,
going to happen. Yes.
yeah.
So, how do you kind of work yourself back out of that mentality when you've
Yeah.
been using it as a tactic to actually do something good for you?
Yeah. So first I would want to know the why. So like I would want to know like, okay, why are we eating this way? Why are you choosing these foods? Do you think these foods are bad? Oftentimes the people that come in my world are eating these foods because they think they're bad. So like I think I'm bad, so I'm eating these bad foods and now I feel worse about myself.
Mm,
So the first thing, and this is the hardest part, and I'm like hesitant to even say it because it can like repel people away from like getting the help they need. But there is a time period in this work when it's usually in the beginning where you might gain even more weight. And you come into this wanting, like, thinking if I gain 1 more pound, I'm going to explode. But you might temporarily gain more weight. You may also gain weight that's not temporary. It might be permanent. I don't know. Everyone's different. Maybe you need to gain weight. But the idea is, okay, like let's take a snapshot of how you're eating right now. And let's say it's fast food 3 times a day. Okay,
mhm,
we have to make sure that your brain is set in a way where you don't think of it as bad or good. So if that means of giving yourself permission, and I don't just mean physical permission but mental permission, like
mhm,
it's truly okay for me to eat in and out right now, I want you to eat in and out. We have to get it to a neutral place in order for you to kind of have agency over what you choose. So I'll give you an example of what I did. And most of my clients are like, you did what? I was just so determined to get better. So what I did is in the beginning, I would take like kind of one binge food, or fear food, fun food, whatever you want to call it. So chips. So one Saturday, I went to the store and I bought like 5 different types of chips. Okay, like all flavored, delicious chips. Chips was a huge binge food for me. And I have this exercise that I do, like a verbal exercise that kind of it's just a kind of a quick little dialogue conversation you have with yourself to understand what's the chatter, which is your inner critic voice, what's driving me to want to do this behavior, and then where am I? So it's lower brain like versus higher brain. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just was calling this chatter out, doing this exercise for hours as I was eating, binging on these chips. And I want to say it was probably like 3 days where I had all these chips in my house and I would go to them and then it was gone. Like I have like 3 bags of chips right now and I mean they'll be here for a while, you know.
Wow.
So I don't remember your question, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the temper. Okay. So like obviously if I'm doing that, I'm probably going to be gaining weight, you know. So then the next one I did was like cookies and the next one was like cake. Um I did tortillas, um mixed nuts. And so yeah, like temporarily you're probably going to gain weight, but once you get to the point where, oh, I can keep peanut butter and ice cream in my freezer, that was a day I'll never forget when I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh, what the? There's still ice cream in my freezer. Like, I can't tell you how crazy and surreal it felt. So you do get to that place, and then it's like it levels out, you know? So for me, and this does not happen for everyone, I
Yeah.
gained weight temporarily and I then lost weight in time. And I've been at this body size for probably 10 years, probably, um, around this size.
Mm-hmm.
So it really just everyone's body responds differently, but you have to give your body, the whole thing is like retrust. So we've
Yeah.
got to get your body to trust you again. And that is going to take you consciously doing that for yourself. And it's really hard because you think you're never going to stop. You think, but I'm never going to stop wanting the chips. I'm going to continue this for the rest of my life. And it
Yeah.
doesn't work that way.
Oh, that's really cool. I've done that before. Like we've
Yeah.
had like this food trigger foods in the house that
Yeah.
I'm like, if that's there, I'm probably gonna have a problem with it. And now that you say that, and I had a moment there, and it was because I was so stressed out before I quit the hospital.
Yeah.
I had a pattern that I was getting back into it again. I knew exactly what it was too. I'm sitting there, I'm eating the chocolate chips, and I'm like, I know what this is. And I just don't even care right now. Like
Yeah.
I recognize it, and at the same time, I don't care. Uh, and now I haven't even touched them, and it's been months. So
Yeah.
they're still in
But
the house, and I'm
yeah.
fine.
Yeah. But I want to point out that, like, that's okay that that happens. You know, it's like that's emotional eating. But when you
Yeah.
come from emotional eating in a place where you're conscious of it, you're aware of it, and you have a lot of other tools, it's okay. Like, I emotionally eat quite often, but it's very different than how it used to look,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because it used to be all emotional eating all the time and then
Mm.
just feeling awful about myself. But now it's like, yeah, I'm going to eat this piece of cake because it's going to taste good.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. You don't ever need cake.
Yeah,
Let's be real.
probably not. Unless there's like nothing else there. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Like from a physiologic hunger standpoint. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, but there is that aspect of food. I mean, that's why we have restaurants that have this delicious food and everything. It's social, it's
yeah,
emotional, it's family, it's bonding, it's comfort. And to take all of that away is to deny, I think, an innate part of like human experience. And if we do that,
yes,
again, that's a restriction, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not trying to change the topic at all, but what you just said reminds me of what is happening to a lot of people who are on GLP-1s because they
Uh,
don't have like that receptor anymore where food sparks any interest. And so they're
uh,
not getting those dopamine hits. And so they're not like eating with their families anymore or their partners, or they're like just not really going out to eat because it's really boring for them. And they kind of just feel weird because they're not eating and they're not getting anything out of it. So it's all just
mm.
like very interesting, you know?
Very interesting. Oh, I am fascinated to see what's going to happen with these GLP ones. I know it's like up in arms right now, and it's even
Yeah.
hard to get a hold of them. And they're, yeah. But anyways,
Lots
yeah,
to
that
say
is
about that.
yes, yes, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, no, that's really fascinating though, because we're synthetically taking that away from people. as
Right.
opposed to people who like do it to themselves, which is, I think, a lot harder. But yeah, I love that. Um, okay. So let's get more into the perimenopause transition
Yeah.
and yeah, and how that affects people. Because there is some physiologic things that happen that I can speak to, and then we'll have you kind of like help us
Yeah.
troubleshoot these. Because again, it's always both. It's always physical and emotional and mental. Like
Yeah.
you can't cut the head off and the rest of it lives. Like so, we are connected. We know this, and it's very important that we take that into account. So, transitioning through perimenopause, one of the things that can happen with losing our estrogen is that our insulin sensitivity starts to go down. And that in and of itself can start messing with cravings, and
Mm.
body fat distribution can start to change and go
Yeah.
towards the center of the body, which, as we talked about with diet culture and like the way that a woman should look, that can be that can be really hard. Like I even have like a little bit of a belly right now, like
Yeah.
the slightest too. When I look at it, I'm like, Jesus, Nicole, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I still feel it because it's like, okay, yeah, it's there. But
Hmm.
it's very common as women start to age that we start to have like transitions. And to a certain extent, like, are we ever gonna get like a six-pack abs again? Yeah, we could, but at what cost? So you have to remember that. Like
Yeah. Is it worth
hormonally,
it? Hmm.
yes, the changes that can happen with that. So, talking with a woman, like, how would your side of things go with a woman who is going through that transition, is noticing changes in her appetite, having issues with like all of a sudden she's carb craving and she's having a hard time? How would you talk to her about that so that she wouldn't add
Yeah.
on top of that by beating herself up?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing I usually always do is like rule out medical stuff. So, I would want to make sure, like, are you talking to your doctor? Like, do we need to like find a dietitian? Like somebody like is there a medical piece to this? Because I'm not going to speak to that.
Mm,
Um, and then, yeah, I would just really be the person that it's okay. I know that this is hard and this is really frustrating. And yeah, you're putting weight on when that's like the scariest thing to you. Maybe you came from a place where you're recovered from disordered eating or you have disordered eating and now this is happening too. So just really trying to like, I think so often a place of like kind of starting with people is just normalizing it. Like there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Like there's a
mm,
reason why this is happening or it's this way.
mhm.
And just really offer just compassion and support. And the other thing is really getting in spaces of like-minded people. So if that wasn't like a person that would go in my group coaching program, I would say like let's look for groups, like let's look for communities that you can be part of so you can talk about this and be with amongst your people.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's how I would kind of navigate that.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the most impactful things that we can say to women is you're not alone. And also, you're not crazy. I hear you. This is
Oh,
real.
and you're not broken. You are not broken. I literally for
Yeah.
20 years thought there was seriously something. I thought like I maybe needed brain surgery. Like, what is wrong with my brain?
Aw,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it was just
No.
I needed to unlearn some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's all coping. Like when you really take a look at it, like it's serving a purpose. It's providing
Totally.
comfort, it's providing space for you to breathe when you're not giving
Yeah.
yourself space to breathe. Like, yeah, like that lady
Yeah.
that
You
was
can
talking
numb
about.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Another one that I run across is my menopausal women. So
Yeah.
my menopausal women, um, I feel so bad for them because they're still feeling the effects of the WHI study from 2002 that was like hormones are awful, you don't
Oh,
use them, and are
yes.
still feeling effects from that. But they especially. So these are like our boomers, right?
Hmm.
Our old aging population boomers here, and they weren't properly taken care of. I have a lot of them that had hysterectomies and things like that. And they also came from like super skinny culture, like diet culture in the
Yeah.
90s. And they're aging and their bodies are changing and they never really worked out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're trying to be skinnier. And that's the last thing I need you to do because that will like
Right.
pull everything out of your bones and you're going to break.
No,
So,
totally. It's like, can we just start with a 5-minute walk? Yeah.
Yes. Like and I need you to do some body weight squats
Yeah.
and go eat some protein. They don't even know what that is. So
Yeah.
like having that whole conversation there too. But we are sometimes we have to refer to somebody else before they are ready to start down that path
Mhm.
of actually fixing something. So um, talk a little bit more about that, like because I know yes, we want to make sure that medically they're safe,
Mhm.
but what if they're not ready to take the steps that they need to take in order like to reverse diet and to start doing that thing because it scares the crap out of them.
Yeah. So it really depends on what they want. So it's like I'm always going to meet you where you're at.
Mm,
I won't um I'm not going to like I'm not going to congratulate you when yay, I've lost weight because I've been dieting. Like I'm not going to congratulate you.
mm,
Like so I'm not that kind of a person. But it will be like, okay, what are the feelings behind that? Like why does it feel so good? What is it that you're gaining from the weight loss? What's different now?
mm.
Um what was your question again? I'm sorry.
No, that's good. Uh, yeah, so just kind of like reversing the
Where do you start? Right. So
yeah.
I would say, yeah, like you don't like you never have to do anything. You never have to like take my suggestions. We can
Mhm,
I can just listen to you
mm,
and give you empathy and compassion if that's what you
mm,
want. Some people do want that. Most people want to make some kind of a change. And they'll go into it knowing like I can't do anything right now, but I know I want to change. And we just kind of stay in this environment, if you will, the more frequent you meet, the better, like change happens. And
mm,
oftentimes at some point, like a seed is planted and change starts happening slowly.
mhm,
And also sometimes people are like, no, I'm not ready. And they get pretty angry because they think they're coming into a space where I'm offering weight loss and I'm not.
mhm,
Um, and I get it. It would have made me angry too, because it did. Like I wanted to lose weight. That's the only thing I thought I needed to do. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it's really meeting you where you're at. And if you're not ready for this, that's okay. I'm gonna be here,
mhm,
I'm not
mm,
judging you. Like, and I also am the person like if you need some other kind of help, I will help you find it.
mhm, yeah. Yeah, I think that's important to know too, like, we can't be for everybody.
Right. No. Yeah.
Yeah. And then some people just they do need something else. Maybe they need more tough love. Maybe they need more space. Maybe they need a
Hmm.
different personality. Maybe they find my voice is annoying and they don't want to listen to me. Like that's fine.
Right.
Like go
Right.
find somebody else to listen to that. But that's the point is like don't stop advocating for yourself and don't
Yeah.
stop seeking out help. And I think that's probably one of the take home messages from this entire podcast is
Hmm.
like, you're not broken, you're okay. And if you feel like you want help, just keep seeking it out until you find the help that you need where
Yeah.
you're at. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
important. That's awesome. Um, I had one more question and then it kind of left me. So, oh, okay, here's a good one. Can food freedom still include weight loss goals, or does that mindset keep women stuck?
Mm. So, okay, like I said, most everyone who comes to me wants to lose weight. And what I'll
Mhm.
say to them is, you can still want to lose weight. The only thing I ask of you is that you work on not engaging in like intentional weight loss behaviors. And most of the time they're like, sure, that's fine. And then some days they'll show up and be like, I counted calories. And I'm like, it's okay. It's okay that you did that. Um, but yeah, I will just, oh God, I forgot your question again. What was your question?
So, can food freedom include weight loss goals?
Right. Okay. So, and I'm so very careful how I talk about this. Um, everyone is so different, very different.
Yeah.
There are very few people. I'm thinking there's like been two where we have talked about intentional weight loss once they've recovered fully.
Mhm.
And why do you want to lose weight? What are the motivators and intentions underneath this? So, like for one client I'm thinking of, true reasons, like true knee pain because of her body size.
Mhm.
like true things happening with her feet because of that,
Mhm.
actual back issues because of it. So there are actual markers, and she wants to be more like freer and moving in her body.
Mhm.
So with that, we talk about it in a very slow, kind, compassionate way. And it's really different than kind of like any other thing out there for weight loss. Yeah, it's very individual. And again, it's not like I've done it with like two people.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying it can't happen and it's
Mhm.
not possible, because I never want to be so black and white. Um, but it's kind of like, as long as you put it on the side for right now, your weight loss goals, and just immerse your brain in this space and
Mhm.
unlearning all the junk that you've learned along these years, like, we can take a look at it again once
Mhm.
you're kind of on the other side of things. So, um, this kind of makes me think of intuitive eating. So, in intuitive eating, there's 10 principles, and the last principle is nutrition on purpose. Because
Mm.
really, the idea is we have to get your brain right before we can even think about nutrition or have agency over what you're eating,
Mhm. Yeah.
if that makes sense.
It totally does. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's why it's such a complex thing. And I don't think you can watch a YouTube video and now I know how to intuitively eat.
I
Like,
know. I know. Yeah.
yeah. It's not one of those types of things, which makes it very a lot more complex, but definitely worthwhile because can you imagine? Well, you can because you're there. And I have a certain degree of that as well because I was able to get the weight off and kept it off to a certain extent. I've been purposefully putting some weight back on as I'm building muscle, but that's a different intention. I'm trying to build
Hmm.
muscle. So we're, yay. But, uh, but being able to know, like, listen to your body and because we're born innately with the hunger cues and the
Yes.
satiation cues and everything. So learning how to eat again where we're not distracted, we're not shoveling food into our face so fast that our gut doesn't have a chance to tell our brain that we're full.
Yeah.
All of those trigger things that a lot of people just don't even know what those are. So I think it's really important that you're doing that work to help educate people about that because, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like just slowing down and kind of everything, which, by the way, for me to say that, just know I'm like the fastest person in everything. Like, I run from like here to the bathroom, here to the kitchen. It's like, Libby, slow down. So, like, I'm practicing this myself too, still, all the time.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
slowing down.
I think that could be our word that we exchange journey with is practice.
I like that, practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're always going
That'd
to be
be
in practice.
always. Yeah. Yeah. We're practicing medicine, practicing therapy and mental health
Yeah.
and practicing our daily routines and how we show up and are intentional with what we want to do. So
Yeah.
I love that so much.
It's
All
a good
right.
word. Better.
Better. Yes. Oh my gosh, Libby. Okay. Well, that feels like it went by a lot faster than the last time.
It did. Second time is a charm.
It is. People should do that routinely. All right, Libby. Well, tell everyone where we can find you and how people can sign up for your program.
Okay. So, kind of two places. You can check out my website, libbysupan.com. And I'm on social media: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, but don't go to YouTube. I don't post there. Food Freedom with Libby. So, libbysupan.com and Food Freedom with Libby. And in my social media accounts, you will find a link in my bio where you can set up a strategy call. Also, you can send any kind of a comment or a DM, and I'll just like get back to you, privately. But
Perfect.
yeah, you can really reach me anyway. You can contact me from my website. So I think those two areas will be, yeah, the best way for you to contact me if you wanted to. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. And I do love, thankfully, now that I've been like liking your stuff more often and like commenting and stuff, it comes up more in my feed. So like training your
Sorry.
algorithm to what you want to see. No, it's great because it goes back to what you're talking about. Like you train your algorithm, you
Yeah.
unfollow people, or you like, or we don't even need to follow people anymore. It's just like what you like, what you
Yeah.
comment on, what you watch. It will feed you more of that. So the more that we watch these things, the more we get that reinforced message because it's like, oh, you like this? Here you go. Here's more
Hmm.
of that. So, but you're very active on like Instagram. I see you a lot on there, and your videos are great. So I definitely think people should go there and go check you out and learn more about you. And they want to work with somebody who helps with intuitive eating, which I think is a wonderful thing. Like we all need to have that ability, and a lot of us just don't. So
Yeah.
there's very few people that couldn't benefit from that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. This was awesome. I really loved our second time talking, even better than the first.
Exactly, yes. All right, Libby, thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Jennifer commented, love this. Great job, ladies. Thank you, Jennifer. All right. And we will be posting this. It will be still available on Facebook. Instagram kind of takes it down right away, but then it'll also be on YouTube, and we'll be turning this into a podcast. So stay tuned for that. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.